Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to work through an example speaking part 2 question and practice expanding your answers effectively so you can speak at length and link your ideas in a cohesive way. Let's start with the question then. Remember, in the exam, you need to read the question carefully to help you achieve a higher score. So in this video, our question is as follows. Describe a book that had a major influence on you. You should say what the name of the book is and who the author is, how you first heard of the book, what the main story of the book is, and then explain why it played such an important role in your life. So I could answer this whole question by saying the following. The book is called Man's Search for Meaning. The author was Viktor Frankl. I heard about this book at college. It is a book about the author's real-life experiences. This book was important to me because it made me think deeply. This does cover the main points from the question. However, it only takes about 15 seconds to say out loud and will therefore not score well in the test. So, how could I expand my answer? Let's have a look. Regarding the what the name of the book is and who the author is prompt, I said, the book is called Man's Search for Meaning. The author was Viktor Frankl. My options for expanding this answer include leading into the answer by linking to the question and giving more detail about the author. So, let's have another go. A book that had a really significant impact on my life is a non-fiction book called Man's Search for Meaning. The author was a therapist called Viktor Frankl, and he published his book after living through the harrowing experience of being kept prisoner in a concentration camp during the Second World War. This is a much more complete response to the title and author prompt, which contains a link to the actual question and demonstrates the use of longer sentence structures. Now let's move on to how you first heard of the book. My initial answer was, I heard about this book at college, which is an okay sentence, but it is very short. Two options for expanding here are giving detail about when, mentioning who told me and why. Let's have another try. I first heard about this book when I was taking a part-time counselling course at my local college a few years ago. Initially, my course tutor mentioned this book as optional reading for the course, but then a few students started to read it and were discussing it so enthusiastically that I rushed online to buy a copy. This is a longer response, which includes much more detail and contains some useful words and phrases for showing the order of events, which can help to build cohesion in an answer. Moving on to the prompt related to the main story of the book, my initial answer was, it is a book about the author's real life experiences. Again, there's nothing wrong with this answer, but it is too short to score you the band that you're looking for. The main ways we can expand here are to give more detail about the content of the book, or optionally to show how certain I am about what I recall, because perhaps you read the book a long time ago and might not remember clearly. So my revised answer might be, it is a book about the author's real life experiences during this horrific period of being kept prisoner and his resulting philosophical view about the meaning of life. The book also introduces the author's own approach to psychotherapy which, if I remember correctly, is called logotherapy. This is much more comprehensive and also includes a nice hedging phrase, which we can use if we are not 100% certain that we have remembered a detail correctly. And I'll talk more about that later. Let's finish with the final point about why it played such an important role in my life. I initially said, this book was important to me because it made me think deeply. My top tip for this part is to expand upon the vocabulary that was given in the question. The prompt words were important role, so I can use that phrase in my answer as a way of linking to the question, but to score well, I should also use my own words too. This book played a really important role in my life for several reasons. Firstly, it related to the topic of the course I was studying, and I needed to read widely about many approaches to therapy. However, the real significance was more personal because it made me think deeply about the meaning of life, especially given that some of the points Frankl made directly contradict what other therapists have said. This book really gives you food for thought, and I would highly recommend it to anyone interested in self-development. So, this response contains a lot of linking words and is significantly longer than my initial response, partly because I chose to include 2 angles to my answer. This is a good method to use if you want to give longer answers. Think about whether there are various aspects to what it is you're talking about. I timed myself reading the expanded version of the answer at a slightly slower pace to account for thinking time, and it took 1 minute 30 seconds in total, which is safely within the 1 to 2 minutes allowed in the test, and most importantly, longer than my initial 15 seconds answer. My new revised answer contains more of those linking phrases too, and much more detail, so it's likely to score a higher grade. Before we finish, just a little tip about that word hedging that I used earlier. Basically, we use hedging language when we want to play it safe for some reason, such as if we don't recall a fact 100% or if we're not sure about something. English has lots of hedging phrases, such as the phrase I used, if I remember correctly. Other phrases include as far as I recall, to the best of my memory, and from what I remember. It's a good idea to practice a few of these phrases just in case you need them in the test. So, now it's your turn. Have a go at writing your own answer to this example question, then read it out loud and time yourself. See if you can get it as close to that 1.5 or 2 minutes as possible, and then read it out loud a few more times for practice. I hope you found that useful, and don't forget to check back for new episodes soon. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely day.